Madam Chair, members of the board, fellow citizens of Vancouver. From the first heart-sickening moment that I saw the completed model of the building under consideration at a public meeting staged in an upstairs unmarked back room at an elite private club, I wondered how the city planners, who were the only ones promoting this development, could do that to the taxpayers and citizens of a community that took more than 7 decades to build. Yet from that moment to this, except for some trivial tinkering, the proposed building remains as it was, 5 stories high on a prominent high point on the ridge exaggerating its height, and massively built, disregarding easements 6 decades old and fronted by a so-called park that pretends to be a plaza, but is actually a city giveaway as front landscaping for the developer. I know the city staff have summarized in-house the many concerns received in writing from citizens and have discussed internally how to address them. However, when they in no way change anything of substantive concern to the citizens, they do not have the right to say that they have listened. All they have done is develop arguments as to why they should not change their minds. I am here, therefore, to speak to a process that by law and by political promises of our mayor and council is intended to give thoughtful and honest consideration to its citizens, but is so flawed in intent and integrity that the developer is so certain of your approval of his projects before this meeting that he has built a sales center for many thousands of dollars. It is 5 stories tall and promoted it for sale with great big signage. I must therefore say to all in this room, city staff, politicians, members of the Development Permanent Board, and citizens, that if after the board hears the concerns of my neighbors, you go ahead with this project as recommended by city staff, it will be clear that the decision was made before this meeting, as the developer has signaled by his egregious signage, and that the integrity of this process is in question. As a senior citizen, a working professional, and a longtime teacher of leadership development and ethical leadership, I ask that you listen with your good minds and your hearts and make a decision based on fairness, on justice to the citizens, and to pay attention to the actual intent of the C2 legislation to take the impact of the development on citizens into account. To begin, therefore, I would like to pick one serious flaw out of the many my neighbors will speak to, based on living through 11 winters right across the street from this development, with the traffic emerging from the lane entering 15th Avenue, lighting up my living room windows. It is a dark, cold November evening about 6 o'clock. There is a steady stream of cars, vans, light trucks of shoppers at peak hour, emerging and entering the huge underground parking to the lane on 15th Avenue. Traffic on Arbutus Street is a steady flow of buses and cars filled with people on their way home. The street, 15th Avenue, which is a steep incline from the lane to Arbutus because of the ridge, is a sheet of black ice. Residents and shoppers, kids and parents, and senior citizens are crossing the street from the bus stop on Arbutus to shop and go home.
Ms. Schwartz, you have reached your 5 minutes, so if I could ask you to summarize, please.
Okay, so just to conclude then I would like to say to the members of the Development Board, first of all, I would like to ask people to imagine the rage and the accidents waiting to happen on this situation that has not been considered on a cold winter day, of which there are 15 of them. And I'd like to say to the members of the Development Permanent Board, like the Lorax in the Dr. Seuss fable, who sees the destruction of the community by an unscrupulous entrepreneur and speaks up for the trees, I would like to speak for the citizens of Kitsilano. To you who are engineers and planners who can actually imagine the scenario we see every winter, we ask that you not cement this forever nightmare into our reality on your watch, while there are good alternative solutions still possible.
If I could ask you to conclude, you're on to 6 minutes now. Thank you.
quick question I meant to ask the other fellow, but I didn't get a chance to bring it on. Just in terms of if it was to go back to the community, would you consider an increase in height to retain any amenity space or gain new amenity space or whatever?
If they were to go back to the community and they could produce something that would preserve the amenities, of course we would consider anything. I think that the height is not the issue. The issue is that this is a concept presented to us, fait accompli, finished, by the developer and the city planners without any questions at all as to what the community needs. And from that time to this, there has been no change on the concept. People are you were asking the question about the bowling alley, and somebody answered, well, you know, it would be expensive to put it in front. What if there weren't 100 or 200 parking spaces, which are way beyond nobody has considered any alternatives.
Yeah, I just so for clarification, so you would be okay with, in your statement, you also said that the massing was too big for that area. So you would still consider a larger building if you were able to retain something.
If they went back to consider, to consult the community, there would be many things that we would consider.